Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another TBR video. This is where I use my TBR game, which is essentially a library heist, to select the books that I'm going to read this month. Now I have a few books that are already on my TBR before we even start, but I will get to those after I have played my game. This month I've got loads on. I've got loads on and I'm hoping for like a really chill reading month. But I've not done anything to actually help myself get to a chill reading month, because what I want to do this month is essentially I have been keeping track of every book that I have TBR'd and then just not got to this year. I have a whole spreadsheet about it because of course I do. That's who I am as a person. And basically I'm going to be making my TBR from that list. Now, if you're new here, you might not know two things. One, I'm in a TBR challenge where I'm trying to get rid of as many books from my TBR as possible against Olivia, who is at the moment behind me, but December is terrifying and just around the corner. So I need to clear as many books as I can. You can clear them by DNFing, unhauling, or reading them. So I need to clear as many books as possible. The other thing is, I always set myself the challenge of only TBRing a book 3 times before I unhaul it. Now that doesn't mean that the book is necessarily bad, it just means that I wasn't as excited as the other books that I read that month. So it's not the top of my priority list. And quite frankly, if it's not at the top of my priority list at the end of this year, knowing that more books are coming out next year, I don't know if I want to keep it on my shelves. So I am setting myself this double down challenge where the books that I TBR this month will equate to 2 TBRs. Basically, I've already TBR'd them once. If I do not read them in November, they're gone. And that's what I mean about not necessarily giving myself the chilled reading month that I probably need, but I thought this is a really quick way to put 10 books on to my TBR. If I don't get to those 10 books, they're gone. That's it, done. I'm going to throw you over to the game, show you how I got on, and then I'll go through what I've picked for my TBR. Okay, let's go. So sure, horror, not in the mood for contemporary. So I'd like more like spooky reads. I know it's like heading out into winter and therefore I should probably be reading like wintry reads, but I'm just not in the mood for them. And I no idea what the catch is in October. That's gonna be fun to find out in a second. Let's pick up a historical fiction. But the fact that I'm doubling down on these is a little concerning. Still don't want literary. Fantasy could work. Fantasy I can double up with. Is that a middle grade? Let's add an easy one, and then a fantasy or sci-fi. Let's see, that's an empty room. We love that. We love it when it's an empty room. But yeah, mostly I'm really looking forward to BookTube Meets. BookTube Meets is the thing that I'm really looking forward to. I'm semi-looking forward to the Panto. It's going to make for a really interesting, like, month-long vlog, because I just want to try and get as much into it as possible. Oh god, I don't want 3. 3 middle grades is too many. I don't want another historical fiction. I'd rather have spooky. Where's my gothics? Where's my horrors? What's going on? And I'm running out of time and I'm not going to make it through the zigzaggy thing. Oh, there we go. There's a gothic. Let's pick up the gothic. I'm not going to make it to another room in time. Oh, there's a horror. There's a horror. What was that? What was that? No, it's a literary. Not interested. I think that's the quickest I've ever moved through a corridor when I can't see what I'm doing. I don't think I've got many prompts that I need to pick up, so I am literally just going to focus until it starts counting down on some gothics and horrors and see what we get. Yeah! It's not a middle grade. I think 2 middle grades is enough. I don't want another historical fiction. I don't want any literary or contemporary. I'm so not in the mood for contemporaries at the moment, and I'm really struggling. Oh, let's pick up both of those. Oh, I did get both. Oh, sweet. Okay, I was worried that I was only going to get the non-fiction then. Okay, so we're going to have 1 non-fiction for non-fiction November. That's fine. So we've got horror, Found Family, which is interesting because Found Family is also the Total Bollocks prompt. Historical fiction, foreign country, middle grade, ash, smoke or fire in the title. Okay. A fantasy audiobook. Oh, wonderful. Nice and easy. Oldest book, TBR Vet. I feel like I want to double up those. I don't usually double up, but I immediately had the same books in mind. Middle grade feed scroll, a BookTube pick. So scrolling through my BookTube subscription feed until I see one that has a middle grade in it, which is going to be interesting because Gavin's not doing his 𝚘𝚌𝚘𝚘 publicly anymore. That's on his Patreon thing. So I might have to look and see his patrons' videos and see what they've got going on. Gothic fiction cute cover. Okay, we can work with that, that's fine. Horror feed scroll from Twitter. I'll just go on the Gothtober one, there'll be loads of horrors on there. Non-fiction spring vibes and a gothic fiction standalone. Okay, all interesting prompts, very much the spooky vibes I was looking for. Are they going to work for the books that I've already TBR'd this year? Don't know. I don't know, baby. But I'm going to go have a look. And I'll see what I can double up, and I will see you in a bit. Okay, so as I said in that clip, I kind of hinted at it. I've got BookTube Meets on the 18th of November, which I'm super excited for. Tickets are still available. They will be down below. We're doing a really cool panel with Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe, Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction, Becca from Becca with Books, Leanne from Literary Diversions or Novel Menagerie, depending on which site you're on, and Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I went to Yauk last year, loved it, but it was very, very overwhelming. This is a far more sedate, gentle meetup of any kind of bookish creator. So if you make any kind of bookish content, you're more than welcome to come. Even if you just enjoy bookish content, you're more than welcome to come. But like I said, the info for all of that will be down below. As I also mentioned, I have other things on my TBR for November already, so let's get to a few of those. The first is Silver Nitrate. I'm going to be reading this for the Gothic Fiction read along I'm hosting on my Discord, where we work our way through Silvia Moreno Garcia's books, because I realised I have all of them and I've read like 3. So Silver Nitrate is our pick for November. The live show for The Daughter of Dr. Moreau is going to be on the 14th of November, so you've got a couple of weeks before you need to get that read if you haven't yet already. The live show is going to be public, but the discussions and everything else leading up to it have all been on Discord. So again, the link for that will be down below if you want to join in on this. Then I am buddy reading with both my housemates 2 different books. So Lizzie and I will be buddy reading Belladonna in November. I was recently gifted Foxglove from Hodder and I need to read Belladonna because I haven't yet. So really excited to get to this. I don't know much about it. I just know that Kelly from Velvet Library adores it, and it's a fantasy romance, and she is kind of one of 3 people that I just inherently trust when it comes to this genre. So if she rates it highly, I'm sure I will too, and I'm hyped. And then the other book that I'm buddy reading with Zach, is Foul Lady Fortune. Now Lizzie and I basically bullied Zach into reading These Violent Delights, and we have basically coerced him into just reading in general. He is much more of a gamer than a reader, but he has really enjoyed reading those books. Now, the reason we got him to read those is because he and Lizzie met by being in Romeo and Juliet. So we knew he would understand the story and we thought he would get really into it, and he loved the characters, he loved the politics. So he's really excited to get into the second duology, which is the Foul Lady Fortune and Foul Heart Huntsman. Now I am also tabbing this, as you can see. Those are all the different chapters, all the different points I've got to get to, and I'm also going to be annotating it. I have started already. I am already at the moment highlighting any kind of spycraft or clues and any emotional language, because this main character is filled with a lot of remorse, which I'm not going to go too much into because it would be spoilers for These Violent Delights. But anyway, I'm already really enjoying it. I'm only 2 chapters in, but I've done the prologue in the first chapter, but I'm carrying this on into November, so this is on my TBR, and hopefully by the end it'll be well read and well loved. And then I'm going to go back, once I've done this and Foul Heart Huntsman, I'm going to go back to These Violent Delights next year and annotate those as well. Why not? Like, they're not special editions or anything, so let's make them special for me. The prompt for Total Bollocks is Found Family, so there's loads of books in this TBR that I can tick off for Found Family. I'm not worried about that at all. And then obviously there is the Lunar Library pick, which again, if you haven't got yours, you can get the link down below. Whilst you may have missed November's pick, the link down below will take you to December's pick so that you can jump on next month. So let's crack on with the TBR. Now, there were obviously the 2 that I was like, I could double up these, but I haven't yet. I've decided not to double up just because actually they're both quite chunky and I think I can tick both of them off. So the first one is a fantasy TBR vet. I'm going to be picking up The Lies of Loch Lamora. Now, this is a reread. I have been meaning to reread this series for ages. It was one of the series that I set myself to start rereading this year. Didn't do that. So I really want to get to this. I have got it as an audiobook as well because that's how I read it originally. I have also read it standard, and you can tell by just the absolute state of this book. Really tempted to annotate it, but I'm not going to commit to that just because I'm already annotating for Our Lady Fortune. But essentially, if you don't know anything about the lives of 𝚘𝚎𝚎, is a thief. He works with the gentleman bastards that are a collection of thieves. There's already found family in this. They all kind of work in this Venetian world. If you like Nevernights, you will really like this world building. Like, it's a really fun, very, very stylized fantasy. And I also really like that it's very similar to The Name of the Wind in the fact that it has a historical chapter that kind of sets up how the mythology works and then shows you in the next chapter the real-time events of why that's important. I really like that dichotomy. I really like this writing style, and I've been meaning to get back to this to ages. So now is the time. This is going to be one of the ones that I will be reading as I travel about, because I have a lot of travelling about to do in November. And then the one that I decided to do as an audiobook, mainly because Lizzie unhauled their special edition to me, is Twin Crowns. I've heard really mixed things. Like, it's definitely a YA fantasy, but I've heard it compared to ACOTAR, and I've heard that people who really like ACOTAR really like this. I have not been in the mood for YA fantasy recently. I just haven't been in the mood at all. So chances are this one won't survive. Even if I do read it, I might not enjoy it, but I feel like it's going to be a very gentle, easy read for November, which is probably what I need. I know very little about the plot, except that it's two sisters, either side of a crown. One's a rebel, one's the queen. And I believe it's a sibling rivalry type story. Other than that, couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. The next prompt I'm kind of twisting a little bit because it was middle grade ash, smoke or fire in the title, and I've gone with smoke on the cover instead, purely because I didn't have anything to hand and I'm not buying any more books between now and Christmas. It's not happening because, one, Christmas, right? Like, last year I got gifted so many wonderful books and I haven't got to hardly any of them this year, so I'm not buying any more. And also the TBR challenge. So I am bending it slightly. It's not in the title, but it is on the cover. The Blackbird Girls. Now, you may remember that I TBR'd this quite a few times last year as well and still didn't get to it. This is about Chernobyl. It is about two girls who get caught up. As Chernobyl explodes, they are kind of taken away through Ukraine, and it's a really, it's going to be a sad historical fiction. I just know it is, but it's a middle grade historical fiction, so it counts for this prompt. But I just keep putting it off because I feel like every time I pick it up, I'm not emotionally prepared for it, even though I adore a sad book. Yes, baby. He's angry because even though he's been outside all morning, I made him come inside for some lunch, and now he wants to go back outside and I won't let him because I'm doing something. Oh my goodness. You're very sweet, but you're also a menace. Alright, well, I guess I'm just doing this whilst holding a baby because he doesn't want to be put down again. Okay. The next one was historic. Okay, oh, you do? Do you want this? Okay. Okay, the next was a historical fiction set in a foreign setting. Historical fiction with a foreign setting. I've gone for The Intoxicating Mr. Lavelle because this is about a bunch of aristocrats travelling across Europe. I don't remember much about this. I just remember it being kind of sold to me as a romantic gothic. It's set during the Rococo era, as far as I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure it's LGBT. I'm pretty sure it is. So that kind of ticked those prompts for me. Then we had horror found family. I had every intention of reading this for Gothtober, but then it just didn't fit any of the prompts. Didn't get chosen. Was Wrangle Stone by Darren Charlton. Shortlisted for the Costa Book Award. Who knew? But this is a zombie romance, LGBT, and I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to have found family in it as well. For non-fiction spring vibes, I have gone for Bookish Broads, mainly because it's very, very colourful. I also wanted something short and sweet non-fiction wise. This has big old illustrations in it, but also I feel like if I'm going to read a non-fiction this month, I want it to be feminist. I want it to be pro-reading. I want it to tick all of those boxes. So go for Bookish Broads this month because it just, again, we're trying to be gentle on a brain that isn't very gentle to itself as a rule. Now this one I've never TBR'd this, but I have put this in several people's subscription boxes for October. For my horror on Twitter, I was so thrilled that I clocked this very, very early on. Now this is a book that no one really knew anything about and then suddenly it was everywhere. I was really excited about it because it was a Titan book and I find that Titan horror just does it for me. But essentially this is set in 1984 in Massachusetts. There are a bunch of people out on Halloween and then there are these really creepy kids saying that someone is chasing them and drawing children out of their homes. So it's a very spooky, very, very spooky horror by the looks of things, by Titan, who I trust when it comes to horror, and I'm really, really hyped for this one. Was this technically in my own TBR? No. Was it technically stock? Yes. It's mine now though. For Gothic Cute cover, this was the only one. This was the only one that I had. I mean, look at those flowers. Look at the yellow. This was always going to be the pick. So the Cherry Robbers, again, I know I've TBR'd a couple of times. I TBR'd it a couple of times last year, and I've TBR'd it again this year and just haven't read it yet. And for that, I'm so very, very sorry. This really gives me plain bad heroines vibes. But essentially, this is a sapphic, as far as I'm aware, story about a family of sisters who every time they get married, they immediately die. And this one girl thinks that she can break the curse and how that happens. But it is a real split between the historical and modern, which I didn't realise when I first started it. I thought it was going to be exclusively horror, exclusively historical fiction, but it isn't. So I'm intrigued to get back to this one. I just need to prioritise it. And because it's so chunky, he knows he's not allowed up there. Because it's so chunky, I really struggled last time. Hopefully, I will find the time to read it this month. It's definitely one that I will prioritise over some of the others. For middle grade YouTube feeds, so many people have been picking up Amari again. I don't know what it is about it coming into like the wintry season, but you're all reaching for those magical middle grades. This was gifted to me by Celine, so thank you very much, Celine. I'm finally going to get to it. You gave it to me for Christmas. It's been a full year that I've had this and just not read it. I really liked the first one, but I had so many issues with it and I was really grumpy about it because I had listened to it whilst being stuck in traffic stationary for 6 hours. And I do think that didn't help, and I will know for sure whether it was me and my tastes or the book or the traffic. When I get to the end of this, I will know for sure. And then the final prompt was a Gothic standalone, another gifted book. Thank you to Olivia for gifting this to me, either for my birthday or for Christmas last year. Still haven't got to it. Cherish Farah is a book by Bethany Seymour, who did A Song Below Water, which is the mermaid magical realism book. This is about two girls who come from very different social backgrounds, who start hanging out with each other and are essentially trying to manipulate each other. I don't know if they're actually like friends or frenemies, but they're not very nice to each other, and it becomes like this kind of like mystery thriller, which I'm really intrigued by. I'm intrigued by the whole concept, but just the idea that they are both trying to play each other, I find fascinating. So really, really excited for this one. I really liked Bethany Seymour's writing style in A Song Below Water, so it'll be interesting to see what it's like without that magical element. So I've rushed through that to the best of my ability because I've got loads of other things I need to do today. So I hope it hasn't seemed too frantic. Let me know in the comments down below what book you are most excited to get to in November. If you want to just let me know that you were here, feel free to leave me a little candle emoji in the comments down below. Treat yourself to something from Waypoint because it supports me and my content. Like and subscribe, and most importantly, have a nice day.